how did they know they were in the attic?
Okay? So, how did they know they were there? Who called? That same question kept coming up over and over. So, on day 6, the date was August 4th, 1944. On day 7, which is on page 83,
4 days later.
it is 4 days later. So, what's our text structure for this particular book? What is our text structure?
Sequencing.
How do we know it's a sequence? Jaden? Jaden? Say it nice and loud so everyone can hear you. Okay, so if I took this book and laid out the chapters, could I put them on a timeline like this?
Yeah.
Yep, I could. Because it goes from day to day to day to day. So we know that this is the sequence is the text structure for this particular book. You'll also notice, and I haven't pointed this out before, but I want you to take time to look at the very back. Turn to page 146. There is a timeline at the back. So now that we're getting to that part of the book where the emotional part is coming in a little bit more, you're probably more interested in seeing how did these events kind of happen in time. So I want you to be thinking about that. We're not going to spend a lot of time looking at that now, but I wanted to point out that that text feature is there for you so that you can understand. Carly, I'm going to ask you to move off of that today because that's really distracting for right now. Okay, so will you grab a chair, please? Thank you.
I'll just sit on the floor.
All right. As we're reading today, I also want you to think about signposts. Our signposts are over here because there is one in this particular chapter that seems to me that comes up and just kind of slaps you in the face. It's like, oh, wow, that is a signpost. So I want you thinking about your signposts. I think I'm gonna show you the first one right away. You're gonna see it. But this is also that point where they've been caught now. And so I think we're getting into the point where there's going to be a lot of tough questions. And some of you have already started to ask those tough questions as we've been reading and talking. So I want you to be thinking about that. So on page 83, it's titled Westerbork, Amsterdam, 9 a.m. Okay? The Franks and the Van Pelses and Dr. Pfeiffer have been under arrest for 4 days. Today they are being sent to Westerbork, the work camp that Margot was supposed to go to more than 2 years earlier, and where by now the rest of them would have already been sent if they hadn't hid in that secret annex. Anne knows their situation is serious, but she can't deny that she is enjoying the ride in the police van just for the motion of it. Okay, this is when I was reading that, I thought, okay, this is a contradiction. I personally would not be enjoying my ride if I was in a police van. So that seems to me, when I read that, I thought, whoa, that's really kind of a contradiction. I don't know about anybody else, but I don't ever want to ride in a police van or a police car. Okay, so to me that seemed like a contradiction. Carly, you probably have because your dad is a sheriff or a deputy, right?
He's like 3 days away from like the top. He's like.
Okay, so you probably written that, but personally, I don't ever want to. So this to me seems like a contradiction. She knows their situation is serious, but she can't deny she's enjoying the ride in the police van. So I thought that was kind of one that jumped out at me. Why would she be enjoying a ride in a police van? Put your hands down and talk to whoever you're sharing a book with. Or
She's been hiding for over 2 years. So she's finally decided to fly and she wants to get out. Why would you think if I wasn't in the she was supposed yeah, I mean, she's been hiding for over 2 years. Once you get out, yeah, but when they talk, if I did for over 2 years and they took me, I would scream when I got it. So it's like a happy scream. But then he died.
Alright, what did we decide? Gabriella and Dallas, what did you guys decide? Why would she say she would enjoy that when that would be something I would not enjoy? Well, but what did you say, Dallas?
I think she explains that she wanted a police car because she probably never wanted one before and she wants to see what like.
Okay, so Dallas says maybe she's never ridden in one and she wants to see what it's like. Selena.
Well, she
Okay, because remember in the book, did they say that the Jewish people were not allowed to ride in cars anymore? And how long has she been locked up?
Like 2 years.
Almost 2 years. It's a long time. What was her greatest wish when she was in the annex, Riley? To get outside, get some fresh air. Carly?
She's probably like enjoying the ride, because like when I go on a ride, I really enjoy the part because the cars go really fast and it feels very exhilarating.
Okay, so this probably does feel kind of exhilarating. In fact, the next part says that the familiar bounce of hard tires against Amsterdam's cobblestones. She's adopted the attitude of her father, who is still most concerned about the people who are in trouble for helping the fugitive Jews. Although he has no illusions that life in the work camp will be easy, he has reminded Anne and Margot that the Allies are close to defeating the Germans. The time in the secret annex wasn't for nothing. It kept them safe through most of the war. And now they'll see the final victory. At Amsterdam's main train station, the prisoners are escorted by police to a train platform. Most of the Dutch people in the station look away. This part is really important. I want you to think about this. Most of the people in the train station, the Dutch people look away. Some are ashamed. Others want to spare the prisoners any embarrassment. They know what's happening. What signpost that comes to your mind when you hear that part? Think about a signpost. Okay, talk to your partner again. Yeah, really? Any ideas that you can share with you guys?
Probably not very good. I'm not sure. Like I think it's a good idea. Well, they know how they can hide some police cars, like not just get sensitive. I think, yeah, I think I would even say memory. I think it's a
It did to Eddie and Kristen. They had a really good
yeah, tomorrow I think it's again.
All right, so you had what?
I think it's Marty keeps on getting sent to. They can't do anything to help that getting in trouble.
Okay, so we could justify either one of those. We don't have to agree. All right, let's bring this back. I heard some really great conversations over here. I didn't get to this side this time. Serena, what were you saying?
That it's a aha moment because now we realize that a lot of people don't think it's okay. A lot of people.
What's the text evidence that tells you that, Serena? How do you know that people don't think it's okay? What did it say in there? Go back to your text and see if you can find that. How do we know most people don't think this is okay?
That they're ashamed to see that. Like they don't want to really witness that in their day.
Yeah, it says that people look away. Some are ashamed. Others are embarrassed. Okay? And Eddie and Kristen said the same thing. What did you say, Eddie?
But they finally realized that everyone has been hiding and stuff.
Okay, so it's kind of an aha moment for the people in the country. Lauren, what were you saying then?
I was saying again.
Why'd you say again and again?
Because everyone tries to hide and then they always get caught and then they always get sent to prison.
Okay, so that seems to be a recurring pattern in this book. Bailey, what do you think?
It's kind of like what Eddie said, but in this an aha moment that because they said that on the radio that they made it sound like it's nice and stuff, but now they're witnessing that it's not really because they don't explain it.
Okay, so how many people chose aha moment there? Okay. I was kind of thinking tough question. This is what I was thinking. This might be a tough question because if these people are embarrassed and ashamed, aren't they probably asking themselves, why are we letting this happen?
Yeah.
Why are we?
Agreed.
Why aren't we doing something? Okay? So there's lots of different choices we could have there. It's about your thinking and how you think about it. All right, let's keep going. This next part, where it starts on the train, I want you to read that. I want one of you to read it to the other person. That means what level voice are we going to use? A level 1, okay? Go. finishing up, I want you to talk to your partner about what signposts you might have seen in that particular area. There's a couple of paragraphs there.
We're reading down here where it says criminal. They said how come they couldn't just lie and read English? I have a question. Let's just read it.
All right, guys, back up here. In this particular section, I think we have some more opportunities for some signpost discussions. Does anybody have one that they want to share out? Eli and Lucas?
Again and again,
Why?
because like she was cheerful when she was in the police car, and now she's like kind of happy like when she's on a train going to a prison, kind of.
Yeah. And so I again chose contradiction there, kind of a contrast and contradiction, but I see what you're saying, that again and again keeps coming up. Carly?
Me and Sam talking, we thought words of the wiser because in this paragraph over here, Mr. Frank's like saying something that is very wise, I said.
Okay. And you two girls, you chose memory moment.
Yeah, kind of from like the last page, because when they said like they knew how they were feeling, or like they knew what was happening, made me think that like it's happened to them before, like in a different country.
Okay. And in that last paragraph, it says, we were together. Mr. Frank will later remember about the day. So this is a true story that he's thinking back on. Sam, you need to sit up, please. All right, this next part, before we go on, I just want to talk about our 3 vocabulary words that I chose for today. I put them in 2 different colors today because these 2 are 2 words that I want you to know. So Carly and Selena, you need to move so you can see the board, please. Okay? But these are tier 3 words. So tier 3 words are equivalent to 25-cent words or 50-cent words?
50.
50. They're not words that I'm going to be expecting you to use in your writing. I need your eyes up here. Sam, eyes up here, please. Okay, so I wrote them in a different color, but I think that you need to know what they mean. Okay, so nationality. Raise your hand if you've heard that word before, nationality. Keep your hand up if you know what it means. You're like pretty confident. Okay? Okay, what do you think it means, Sam?
Means like that you're kind of
Your nationality. If I say, Sam, what's your nationality? Does that help or not? Not quite? Lucas?
Your personality,
No? Taylor?
maybe where you're from.
Exactly. What nation or country are you from? I heard you say state, but it's not really your state. It's what nation or country. Do you see the word nation in there?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's where you're from. Nationality. What is Anne's nationality? She's originally from Germany. No, she's originally from Germany. She's living in the Netherlands because they ran once already. Okay? So nationality, they're going to ask her about that in a moment. And then designation is the other word that is a tier 3. Don't expect to be using it in your writing. But in this particular case, it's going to talk about, it's kind of like categorizing people. So if I say, how many of you are on the Bears team? That's your designation for our simulation. You're in the Bears team. Or if you're in the Eagles team or clan. Okay, so a designation is just how we sort people out. So be thinking about that when we get to that. Now this one I wrote in brown because I want you to know what this one means. The word is transit.
it's from like college.
Okay, raise your hand if you've heard of it before.
Yeah. Transit.
I am amazed at how many people learn vocabulary from those video games.
Oh my.
All right, so a lot of you kind of know.
Back up to.
Okay, eyes back up here. Raise your hand if you think you know what it means, though. Okay,
Maybe.
what do you think, Eddie?
Well, I
Transit.
know. Could it be like a bus?
Why are you saying that? What about a bus makes you think of transit? You're on the right track.
I don't know.
Okay.
Because the game.
Transit.
All right, so let's keep going. Hayden.
I think it's like a bus stop because when that got spilled, they named one of the things transit, and it's like a bus stop. And you can get on a bus.
Okay, except that they're probably not going to be a bus here. What other words kind of have that same base in there? Transportation.
Moving.
Okay, that one does. It has something to do with moving, doesn't it?
Yes.
Every single day I say that we're going to
Transition.
transition. What do we do when we transition? Lucas? We move to the next whatever it is that we're going to do. Subject or activity or whatever. Okay, so transit must mean what? Kyle? What does that mean then, probably? Has something to do with... Okay, so I want you to think about that as we talk. This one's in brown, so this one could be added to your vocabulary sheet this week if you want to.
The prefix trans means to move.
Which, as Kyle just said, it has something to do with moving. Okay, thank you, Carly.
You're moving in the city.
All right, let's start on page 85 again. I'm going to tell you before we start reading this that there's going to be a part where you're going to go, or kind of go uncomfortably. Okay, I'm just going to tell you that up front. So I want you to be thinking about what would be an appropriate response. Okay? You also need to remember that this is a true story. This really happened. And so in order to maintain the dignity of these people, I think it's important that you know in advance and that you react appropriately. Sam, I need your eyes on the book, please. Okay? Criminal Jews. Camp Westerbork, 3:20 p.m. Late in the afternoon, the train arrives at Westerbork Labor Camp in the northeastern region of the Netherlands. The station is at the center of the camp, which is surrounded by a barbed wire fence topped with spikes. Anne sees soldiers with machine guns inside the watchtower above the fencing. Westerbork is a transit camp. It's a transit camp where Jewish people are held temporarily before being transferred to other Nazi camps. So this is a transit camp. They're not meant to stay there for very long. They just go there, kind of check them in, and then decide which prisoner camp they're going to be going to, okay? Nearly 100,000 Jews have passed through its gates in the months before the Franks and their friends arrive. As many as 16,000 people are imprisoned in the dirty, crowded camp at any given time. The train stops, and its both doors are opened swiftly by Westerbork prison guards. They wear soldiers' uniforms and carry guns. Their faces are serious and tense. An impatient voice barks orders for everyone to get off the train. Another shouts for the Jewish prisoners to assemble outside. Men are separated to the right and women to the left. Damp wind presses against Anne's face and rushes through her thin clothes as she steps to the ground. The air is fresh and cool compared to the stuffiness of the train's cabins, though, and she takes a deep breath in gratitude. Again, it's that contradiction. Here she is at this prison camp, and yet what does she feel?
Happy.
Okay. One guard orders the new arrivals to proceed to registration. Men and boys line up in front of a row of desks. Women and girls go to another. The lines are long and the movement is slow. Anne stands in line with her mother, sister, and Mrs. Van Pels. When it's her turn, she tells the women behind the desk her date of birth, nationality, and where she lived in Amsterdam. The woman types the information onto a small blue-green card without looking up from her typewriter. Then she files the card in a large box behind hundreds of other cards that she has typed for prisoners. Okay, before we go on, I want you to look at that last little bit again. Starting with the woman types the information. See where we're at on page 87? Okay, Rihanna, will you read that out loud for us nice and loud? Yeah, starting with the woman types the information until the end of that paragraph.
The woman types the information onto a small blue-green card without looking up from the typewriter. Then she files the card in a large box behind hundreds of other cards she has typed for previous prisoners.
Okay. Think about that woman. She doesn't look up from her typewriter. She's asking in questions. What's your nationality? What's your date of birth? She's typing it all in. What does she never do?
Look at her. So she doesn't feel bad.
She takes that card and she puts it in a big box with hundreds of others. Okay, talk to your partner. Why is she doing
I feel like maybe she realizes her there, but like she's too scared to say no. Yeah, like she might like there and she doesn't go eye contact.
Okay, what did you say? Okay. How do you feel about Alright, so I'm going to have Carly and Selena share out what they said. Girls, Selena, what did you say first? She files the card.
Okay, so she's now looking at the person because she might feel guilty because she's putting them in a camp where they might be slaves and die.
Okay, and Carly, then you added to that. What did you say?
Yeah, and it maybe like she didn't want to do this, and she did not want to like, but she was too scared to like tell the people who hired her no.
Okay.
So like she went there, and she really is against all this, and she really doesn't want to make direct eye contact, which will bring even more shame, sorrow, and guilt to her.
Okay, Gabby?
I think she feels ashamed because she might not want to do that like as a job because she might feel bad if there's like little kids going in. So if she looks up, she might shed some tears.
Okay. Anna?
She might possibly be a Jew.
It's possible because in the Jewish camp, if you have schema about that, sometimes they force, lots of times they force the Jewish people to do something. Okay. Hayden, did you have something you want to say? No? Anna?
Well, I just thought about that for a little bit, like she would be a Jew. So she knows Jews are coming to go to the physical. Like
Gabriella, will you shut the door?
she might be a Jew, but she doesn't have to go, so she feels bad for all of that.
Okay. All right. Eli, last comment.
She could be a German, but like she's ashamed because like she probably thinks she doesn't even need to type their names because they're all gonna like die anyways.
Okay. She's got hundreds of those little cards, and each one of those cards represents what? One person. One person. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
You know how like they track down Jews, because they wear stars on them? Could they just lie about being like not Jew? About being a Jew? Like, hey, I'm not a Jew.
That's a great question.
They would just
Same question to records.
Yeah.
And keep asking that question because as we keep reading, that might come out, Carly. Okay.
That's a tough one.
That is a tough question. The women are then taken to another building where the guards order them to remove all of their clothing and shoes. Anne and the others stand naked in line to have their hair cut and to be checked for lice. Then they're examined by a German doctor. The doctor scribbles notes about each woman's health on another small card that goes into another large box. Each woman is issued wooden clogs and a dark blue prison uniform to replace the clothing that has been taken from her. The uniforms given to Anne, Margot, Mrs. Frank, and Mrs. Van Pels also have red patches sewn onto them so that everyone at the camp will know that they are criminal Jews. They have been assigned this special criminal designation because they illegally hid from the Nazis instead of turning themselves in for deportation. Criminal Jews are given the most dangerous jobs at Camp Westerbork, receive less food than other inmates each day, and are not permitted to have toiletries like soap. Okay, so this is why they have their designation. They've been labeled criminal because they did hide.
Yeah, but who wouldn't?
Who wouldn't hide?
Why would somebody turn themselves in?
A lot of them did. That's a tough question. That's a great
Probably
question.
they knew they were gonna get turned in.
Yeah, they're gonna get turned in.
They don't
What
want
else keeps coming up in the book? What do they think is going to happen? It's like right on the edge of happening.
Like The war is gonna be over.
Okay, wait a minute, one at a time.
My question is still who found, like, who knew anything?
Okay, but think about what do they keep saying in the book over and over? This is, we just wait long enough, what's gonna happen?
The war will be over. We're gonna
So do you see why they might turn themselves in? Because what do they think is gonna happen any minute?
They're gonna be set free.
They think that it's gonna be done, because they keep hearing, all the time they were in the annex and they were listening to that radio, they kept hearing that the Allied troops were doing what?
Just a reminder that Girls on the Run will be meeting tonight in the gym. Girls on the Run will be meeting in the gym.
Okay, so they keep saying the Allied troops are doing what?
They're like fighting.
They're slowly taking over. The Germans are losing, and so it's getting closer and closer. And so they think, okay, we'll turn ourselves in. We'll be okay. We're gonna go to this camp, but it's not gonna be a big deal. We're not gonna be there very long. Eli?
It says that they have a school. Like, why would prisoners?
Great question. What do you think, Eli? Why would they have school?
There's children there.
I don't make.
Why do
Okay.
they call them criminals?
Like,
They hit.
maybe. Oh, they could teach them that, like. They could teach them about, like, behaviors
Their religion. And
and
all
like
their
their religion. And, like,
Okay.
They could like
should be a good German.
I have a question.
Maybe.
like
You
off the
Jaden?
And maybe if, like, the Germans maybe that they could teach them how to keep, like,
Following
capturing
German rules.
Jews and stuff and, like, being with them and, like, if they were trained
Okay.
and teaching how to train.
So you think they have an alternative motive that's not positive? Carly, that's the last comment we have to make for today because we're out of time.
You know how the German rebellions are against the Jews and they went to go get all the Jews?
Mm-hmm.
And Adolf Hitler is the one who started that? Why? What did he have against the Jews that he wanted to do?
That's a really great question too.
Yeah, that's not my part Jewish. Didn't know that.
but they didn't know that at the time.
Yeah,
no. But still, why would
Wouldn't he be dead
That's
too?
it. That is a question that we will be definitely continuing to look at. All right, time is up. I need your books back in the container.